I think we have a responsibility over our own decisions, and what we have to realize is like responsibility. It's your ability to respond. You have that. Most of us don't actually realize that the decisions that we're making on a day in and day out basis are what is dictating what's happening in our lives, whether you're consciously making decisions or not.
Most of it's unconscious. And I'll tell people this, the decisions you make are the roads you take.
100%.
Like Warren Buffett says he's happy if he makes 2 or 3 good decisions a year. So it's like a lot of people are just making decisions about things that don't even matter. Like cut the out. Get your focus and attention back. Get your focus and attention back and just make quality decisions that have the highest amount of leverage or opportunity or yield with the lowest amount of risk. Like, can I live with this if it doesn't present itself in the way that I want it to?
Right.
Awesome. Am I willing to live with the long-term consequences of not having this go my way? If yes, awesome, go do it. Make some mistakes. We've been in like life insurance specifically for 5 months now almost. What seems to be the next constraint that is getting in your way? Like what seems to be the problem that you're facing now, or maybe the glass ceiling?
At this point now that I'm kind of finding some traction, seeing more success in deposits. I've got goals. More goals to get, but I can't say that I feel that there is necessarily anything that is a blocker. You know what I mean? I think that the initial blocks for me were a few things. Number one, like I just talked about a minute ago, kind of expecting that it was going to be easy in terms of not having to do much work, right? So you kind of end up messing up with your schedule and your timing a lot, not making enough calls, not even knowing, I'd never done anything outbound before, so I never had to dial leads. Everything I've done before this was inbound. So even getting used to that was a big mindset shift, and realizing, hey, like you get this piece of paper in your hand, and this person, like my first month or two in there, you're getting that lead in your hand, and then you're dialing it one time and being like, all right, they didn't answer, next one. You know what I mean? And I realized probably about a month in, like, wait a second, what am I doing? Like, I paid to get this person on the phone. You learning all of those little
money is in the follow-up. Like most 100%. People don't realize that it's probably only 3% of your market that is ready to buy today. So you can go after that low-hanging fruit, but 97% of other people are going to take time. I've got people
100%.
that are just now joining my coaching program that said they couldn't afford it, or they were going to figure out themselves 6 months ago. And it's like the problem has gotten so big now because it's a system will only grow until its next constraint. So now they've moved into the next problem, and now they're reaching back out and joining, like when they could have just gotten rid of it for good 6 months ago. But it's like, that's what I'm saying. Money is in the follow-up. It's how you nurture relationships and leads. It's not calling them one time, probably calling them 90.
Yeah, very possible. I mean, there are people that I'm just now selling that my first time reaching out to them was 2, 3, 4 months ago. Some of my
you're just
first
doing
lead
things
orders
that most people are not willing to do, which is follow up. It's the boring work. And
Absolutely.
When you get good at doing that consistently, you'll go to 7 figures. Selling something to somebody will get you to 6 figures. Doing it consistently is what will get you to 7. Once you figure out a client acquisition channel.
So I would say
get clients at will consistently, that's perfect. But like how you're saying there's no roadblock in the way right now, it's because you just got a new system and it's working for you right now.
Absolutely.
But like I said, that system will grow until it runs into the next constraint. When you solve a problem, all you do is you find another problem.
100%. I'm thinking even more into the question. I would say the only thing, and you and I have talked about this briefly, I'm learning this even from watching your other guy that you trained, Johnny Niedefin. You're having your leads. It's one thing to buy leads from a lead vendor. That's cool and all, but especially when you're talking like mortgage protection leads and some of those, different people might be picking those same leads up. In a market right now where home sales are going down, that's a market that is dwindling, and the leads themselves are getting more and more expensive. Especially
the leads will get more and more scarce, which will increase the value, and you can have 2 perceptions about it. You can have one of these 2 perspectives about mortgage protection leads right now. The recession is coming in, which means people are going to be tighter with money, which means they're not going to buy from me. Or you can say a recession is coming, which means I'm going to work my book of business because they're going to need this more now, because if their money's worth less, that means they're going to have a bigger problem if the other person in the household dies and they lose their income. This is going to be more valuable to them. And simply by that belief, you can even hear the change in my tonality.
Right. It's the way that you take it on. So what I was getting at is, I think that I've recently in the last few weeks started working general life leads in addition to mortgage protection leads. And I've found some success there for sure. And ultimately, it all comes down to having a conversation. But what I've realized as far as leads is the people that have the most control over their lead flow and getting people to be interested in them specifically, I think they're seeing a bit more success than maybe somebody who's buying a lead list. So that is something that I do, have plans to get myself into, is kind of developing where I have my own lead source that I'm, able to pull from.
I'll tell you right now, just to focus on organic. I've stopped running paid ads to even my coaching companies. Most people don't realize this about ads, and I did not either until I heard Alex Hormozi say this, because you can pay to get a lot of traffic really quick. Maybe they'll like you, maybe they won't, but it's going to take time for them to make a lot of sales. So you can pay to acquire customers from paid ads or buying leads. It's pretty much the same thing. It's a form of paid advertising, direct mail, all that stuff, online ads. So they respond in, but over time, you're going to have to pay more to acquire customers that are in a colder audience. Like someone who wants to buy insurance is going to cost a lot less for them to fill out the advertisement. Someone who just wants to sit around and play Pokemon all day, it's going to take 10 times more to get them to fill out a lead. You're going to have to spend a lot more to get in front of a lot more of those people to garner any interest. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's Mason VanMeter. Just a brief moment of your time. This is important, I promise, and we'll get right back into the video. I understand that most people that watch my videos, funnily enough, are not actually insurance agents. You're a family, you're a brother, you're a mother, father, sister, whatever the case is, and we all know social media is not going anywhere. Now, I know most of you are probably going to have some type of financial burden that you're going to leave behind in the event that something unfortunately happens to you. Now, what we see on social media is 99% of these insurance agents pitching these ideas like infinite banking, tax-free retirement, and to be quite honest, most of them do not know how to structure these policies at all. Now, why is it important to you? Because they're going to put their own pocket bank first. They're going to put their commission raise first. They're going to put this free trip to Hawaii, all expenses paid, first. How are they going to do that? They're going to screw you over on an insurance policy that they were taught to drive up target premiums on. That way they get a fatter commission deposit. And I think that's wrong. So before you buy into one of these concepts that these people just clearly do not know how to use. So before you buy into one of these get rich quick schemes as one of these TikTok or social media insurance agents showed you, understand that they're putting their best interest first instead of your best interest. And I think if you've been following me for a while, you understand that I train insurance agents to always put their prospect and their client's best interest first, because when you do good in the world gives you good back. And that's a principle that I'll live the rest of my life on. So before you sign any type of applications or paperwork with someone who's pitching these concepts that they just do not understand to you, reach out to me on any social media platform at Mason VanMeter. I'm not that hard to find. Or text the number on the screen and I'll partner you with one of my agents that I personally trained who is focused on putting your best interest first rather than their own pocket bank. Like I said, I understand most of you are going to leave some type of financial burden behind, and you don't want to do that. You want to be someone who's remembered as someone who planned ahead and someone who cared enough about their family and friends and loved ones to protect them before the disaster strikes. Let's go ahead and plan for the vacation that we know we're going to take one day. So reach out to me, or once again, text the number on the screen and I'll partner you with an agent who's going to put your best interest first instead of their own bank account. Thanks for watching. Let's dive back into the video. Instead of paying to acquire customers, I like to focus on organic and just educate my audience. And that tends to generate interest, is because I'm not trying to find leads, I'm creating them. I'm creating my own interest by branding and attention. People say time is money. I would argue against that. I would say attention is money. Because if you got all the time in the world, but no one knows your name, your time's not that valuable. Yeah. So I would focus on a completely organic approach with that, because that is how you build a quadratic business in nature. It's WOM, word of mouth, referral based, because instead of paying $1 to get $10 out in ads or $100 in to get $1,000 out, you have a cost to acquire a customer. If it's all referral based, it's just time. There is no cost to acquire a customer. And you know that for every person you sell an insurance policy to, they're going to give you 2 more people to sit in front of. And those 2 will give you 4, and 4 will give you 8. And it's word of mouth. It's exponential in nature. It drives down your lead cost, which increases your bottom line revenue, your profitability, and it increases your lifetime value of your clients, your net gross profit. It's just so much better over a long enough period of time, and it's sustainable. Most people just run ads to the point where they're trying to keep selling new people just to pay for expenses. And you end up running into your hypothetical max where you bottom out and you just can't break past that glass ceiling.
There was a second thing that I think I need to improve is definitely that getting referrals. I don't really, at the particular moment, I have a system of when to ask for it. Working that into my sales pitch, if you will, is the piece that I have to add into it now.
What are you currently doing for referrals, if I can ask? Just because you're a new agent, I love hearing your perspective.
Sure. At the present, where I've been asking is once the policy is issued, and I'm calling them back to say, hey, you were accepted. This is going to be the next steps. You're going to get the policy in the mail. I'll follow up with you and make sure you get the policy in the mail, blah, 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 blah. Do you have anybody that needs insurance?
Okay. So would you like to know how I would go about doing that?
100%.
So the reason I say this is because you bought that sales course and you know the R is for reinforce their decision. People make buying decisions whether or not they will buy from you again in the first 48 hours after the transaction has occurred. So instead of waiting a couple days, do it right there when you're in front of them. Hey, now that we've got you all taken care of, first thing I like to do is get them to admit that we solved their problem. Hey, you remember that problem you had? So if you're working mortgage protection, it might sound like this. Justin, you remember that problem you had that if you died, your wife was going to have to sell the house and foreclose and your kids were going to have to get a nanny they hated?
Yes.
Do you feel like we got that taken care of today?
Absolutely.
How much weight does that take off your shoulders?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot. Don't plan on going anywhere, but if I do, they're in good hands.
And like, you know that it helps your family get to where they want to go, God forbid, when you're no longer here. Like, is that valuable?
100%.
So I just got you to admit we solved your problem. I solved your problem. I made you think it was your idea in the first place because of the language that I used. I only asked questions, restatements, and short anecdotal stories to drive the point home. You made the decision. You did all the work in your head. So I got you to admit that we solved your problem together. We confronted the decision, we made it, and you're happy about it. You're happy with your purchase. Justin, do you happen to know anybody that, God forbid, if your brother, sister, someone passed away, that you're going to have to be spending money on a GoFundMe or a funeral? Like, do you know anybody that might put you in that kind of financial position? Or you know their family might need something like this?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you mind going ahead and putting us in a three-way text? Because I'm sure you've talked to other insurance agents, haven't you?
Sure, yeah.
Do you feel like they've served you as good as I have today?
Probably not.
So would you agree that it's probably in your family and friends' best interest to talk to the person who's going to help them out right the first time instead of them wasting time, effort, and money? Could you just go ahead and put us in a three-way text and let them know that I'm going to be coming over, sitting with them, whatever? That way they can expect me?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. I really appreciate that, Justin. Like that's how I would kind of approach it.
Got you doing it right way, baby.
Here when the emotion is present. The emotion is present and they're in an associated state, which is what we want.
Right.
So now you're helping out people that they care about, and that makes your relationship with them even more valuable psychologically in their head.